You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
So, even though people listening to the podcast can only listen to it, we three can see each other.
Yes.
So I just want to show you that I'm back to doing manicures every few days now. And I think this is important to just do things that even if no one else can see them.
Is this something you're doing from home or at home? Oh, okay.
At home now. No, this is my at-home thing. And I was just...
Okay, Ms. Rockefeller.
Yeah, I know. No, I had one. I did have one just to kick things off.
Yeah.
Because I just had forgotten how much I really love that feeling on my fingers.
Yeah.
And I like the color, and I'm actually, you can see I'm good at manicures. I'm not good at pedicures.
You're great at manicures. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm really good at them.
I'm terrible. I can't do manicures.
Oh yeah.
I can't do my own hands.
Oh, I'm just perfect. I wish you could really see how good. I have no cuticles.
Do you have?
They look so
do you
beautiful.
have all the tools?
I do. I have tools. Yeah.
Like the
I have.
cuticles.
I just want to tell you that right next to me, as I sit, I have cuticle oil with me at all times.
Nice.
Oh, that's
to massage in.
Yeah, that's good.
So
that's really smart.
And my base coat, of course, fills ridges, but you know that. I mean. But I was just starting to think about all these things that I've kind of like, maybe I thought I was doing them for other people, but it turns out maybe I was doing it for myself all along. I don't know.
That's a great place to be. Like, honestly, like I think that I remember having this conversation with my friend Flo, like a long time ago, who has been on the podcast, Dr. Florence G.
Mm-hmm.
And
a little drop there of the doctor part.
I love to drop her doctor. She doesn't, but I throw her doctor in as much as possible. I remember us having this conversation a long time ago about like realizing that like we get dressed up for each other and for ourselves, and we do like all of these sort of like pedicures and manicures and like wear nice outfits. Like it's for our friends, like our female friends and ourselves. And like, that's because like, I like to bring a strong eyebrow game whenever we see each other. You
sure do. Mm-hmm.
That's the only, that's like my main thing. I have recently decided that I want to try and get into a winged eyeliner. So I asked for recommendations. I haven't bought the one that I'm going to get yet, but all of these things entirely just for me.
Yeah.
Like, and my lady pals, my gal pals, because I like to impress my friends.
Well, I like, in terms of Mrs. Rockefeller here, I did decide to splurge on some very, very good shampoo, a rosemary mint.
Oh yeah,
and it was Salt Spring Island. This is not we're not getting money from them. Just saying.
I just like to know where it's from.
But it was from Welks, right across the street.
From you.
Yeah, I was in there, and I looked at it and I thought this sort of seems a little bit expensive considering shampoo can often be between $2 and $4.
Yeah.
But then I just thought I am going to get a lot of utility out of this every day, like a lot. Because like there's so few things that are really, really great.
Yeah.
And a fine scented shampoo has seen me through some moments. I'll say that.
Completely. Yeah. I get a relatively, like, it's not hugely expensive, but it's like not the cheapest shampoo and conditioner from the Access Hair Salon.
Yes. Yeah.
I like it. It's like a pure detangler. And I require a detangle.
Yes, you do.
And I have my soap guy, who I order my bars of soap from Seattle. He's a really
hello, Mrs. Gates.
He's do you know how nice this man is?
Imported from Seattle.
I have been getting my soap from him for 12 years at least. I met him at Bumbershoot a million years ago.
Wow.
And every Bumbershoot, after I like fell in love with the product the first year, the next year when I saw him again, I bought like way more soap. And it got to the point where I was just buying like almost my year's worth of soap every Bumbershoot.
How can it be so good? Because we got a lot of soap here, like a lot of soap.
It's all of the soaps have a like a loofah scrub inside them. So it's like a sluffer and a soaper. And I love a soap that's a 2-in-1. Like I love to get rid of my dead skin. I just love to shed. Hair, skin, whatever, you name it. I love to get rid of it. And he's evolved, and all his products are like vegan, and like he hand makes everything, blah, blah, blah. And they all smell really good. And he's got such a variety of scents. And so, he eventually started evolving into like lotions and like candles and stuff like that. So now I also get a lot of my lotions, and his body butter is the thickest, most like rich body butter in the world, and it smells so good. Anyway, so what he did for me last time, because I haven't obviously been able to go to the States in a long time, and then I also was like boycotting sort of traveling to the US under Trump, and so sorry, this is a longer story than it's supposed to be, but anyway, it
does come back to soap though.
It does come back to soap.
Okay.
So he values my business so much that he knew that the shipping was going to be insane for like how much soap I was ordering. So he just gave me all that extra in product and absolved me.
But didn't that
of
make
the
it way
shipping
more?
cost. No, because he was able to put it in a box that was like USPS has like a USPS has like a price per box. Anyway, this is so dull. I'm so sorry. His soap is amazing, and I love him so much, and it's worth like shipping from Seattle, and like that is how I've already had him ship me one box this year, and I get the feeling I'm gonna end up like getting a second box around Christmas because I hope
that means Andrea and I are getting a little something for Christmas
a little something,
too.
a little something. Yeah, because his candles and his lotions are so good.
I love candles and lotions. I love all that stuff.
Yeah, his candles and lotions are so good.
Yeah.
I feel a bit inadequate here because like I can't do my own nails because I suck at painting, I guess. And I use whatever soaps around.
Oh,
I use whatever shampoo
I use only very good soaps. I spend a lot of money on soaps.
You do a lot of Korean face masks though, AG.
I actually haven't done that many in the last little while. Like, yeah.
But you used to.
Yeah, I used to.
You make them?
No.
Oh,
I would buy them from like H Mart.
Yeah. Okay, I thought you meant you. Wow, I was going to be really impressed. I make my own.
You can. You can buy a reusable mask and kind of like soak it in different things. But yeah, I feel my routine feels so inelaborate.
But to segue into the podcast, you did have that successful recording career before, where you sung a lot and gave it up for the podcast.
You actually do make costumes. You made Franklin's costume this past Halloween.
And you made lipstick.
And you made us lipstick.
I didn't make Franklin's costume. We bought that.
I saw you sewing it, so I thought
somebody
you did.
Sold a Jonathan Richman costume?
No, it was just like a striped shirt
very niche.
with a guitar.
I mean, I've seen things like, a fireman costume for a dog, but...
Yeah, no, we just saw it and decided it looked like a Jonathan Richman
90s indie rockers. You could get the Kurt Cobain, the Courtney Love,
the Elliott Smith.
We should start that. We should start that, Lisa.
Oh, make your dog look like
you guys could do a great job at that. That would be amazing.
This is my, I had to get 3 other dogs so I could complete the Dandy Warhols.
I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This.
Yeah, and apparently the madness has officially kicked in.
Oh, I think we got a good case of the cabin fever pandemics. I think
we're doing our nails, we're dressing up our dogs, we're buying exotic soaps. The whole thing is It's just become one of those final scenes in Grey Gardens where people are just kind of wandering around.
Oh my God. I know this is not on topic for like our episode. We haven't even introduced it yet, but can I just say that I finally started watching Documentary Now.
Oh my God. Is that not the funniest?
And we started with the Grey Gardens episode that they did.
Honestly, Bill Hader has got to be one of the funniest.
I love him so much. I love him so much.
I can.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Anyway, okay, but we're talking about something that's like super
serious.
Not funny and super serious, but honestly, like really did bring me a tremendous amount of joy. And I also did not remember how much I loved her music. We are doing the movie Selena.
I thought you were going to say Worm Lips from the 90s.
I mean, honestly, I love those, like, honestly, that red lipstick that she's rocking through, like, a large portion of the film.
With the extra liner just a bit higher?
Did you ever do that where your liner was like a different color than your lipstick?
I mean, actually, that is kind of what I'm doing now, is I've started wearing a, like, vibrant purple lip liner with all of my lipsticks. And just to bring out different, like, different colors in the reds and pinks.
Huh? Yeah, but if you ever want to nail the 90s look, it's that kind of nude, like slightly darker outline and a nude lip.
Yeah, but I thought like the way that she really then moves into that red, that Selena red is so good. Like that is such a beautiful red lipstick, and
it was quite stunning.
Oh my God, I love it so much. Anyway. So we're talking about Selena.
Selena, we are. And would you like to read?
Did you? Sorry, on the topic of lipsticks, did you know that MAC did a Selena collection earlier?
Yes, I did.
Oh, I did not. Oh, yeah. I can see that.
I bet there was a Selena red in there.
Oh, for sure there was. Yeah, no, it was a beautiful tribute. Honestly, I loved it. And so it is the 25th anniversary of her death, and the new series on Netflix called Selena the Series is set to premiere on Friday, December 4th. So we are digging into the biopic from 1997 starring Jennifer Lopez.
So I'll just read the background here. Selena is a 1997 American biographical musical drama film written and directed by Gregory Nava about the life and career of Tejano music star Selena Quintanilla Perez. The film stars Jennifer Lopez in her breakout role as Selena. Selena's father, Abraham, who served as the producer in the film, is played by Edward James Olmos, and Constance Marie plays Selena's mother, Marcella. Selena was released on March the 21st, 1997 in the U.S. to positive reviews from critics and audiences.
I can do the plot synopsis. In this biographical drama, Selena Quintanilla is born into a musical Mexican-American family in Texas. Her father, Abraham, realizes that his young daughter is talented and begins performing with her at small venues. She finds success and falls for her guitarist, Chris Perez, who draws the ire of her father. Seeking mainstream stardom, Selena begins recording an English-language album, which, tragically, she would never complete.
So I never saw this movie until, like, yesterday.
Me neither.
Same.
Wow! That's so wild. I'm glad that we all saw it now, though. Like I feel like it was always sort of like missing from, like, every time I thought about like what haven't I seen? Like this sort of stuck out to me, and I kept like, I know we've talked about doing it on the podcast like a bunch of times because we love Jennifer Lopez so much, and Selena was such a, like, she really was such sort of like a emerging breakout star at the time of her murder. And like, I mean, I really remember like her loss actually in 1995. Like, I wasn't prepared when we get to the point in the movie where she's recording her first songs in English. I like burst into tears because I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't know that would happen, but I remember those songs so vividly from like listening to them, and like they were just on the radio all the time, and I loved them so much. And it really like brought me back into this whole other like high school realm. and like being really overwhelmed by like the sadness of losing her in this way. Because it was I think like at the time, you know, I was like, I don't know, 14 or 15, and I can't really remember. I know for sure there had been like at least like one celebrity that I had sort of felt an affinity with who had been murdered by a stalker. Like at that, you know, like when I was that young, but I didn't know that that was something that sort of still happened. And this wasn't that kind of setup. But I also didn't even know the story really of what had happened until we watched the movie. And then I read about it after.
I knew what happened. I remember it. I remember knowing who murdered her. And so I just found this film so hard to watch. This is just like a constant reminder of why this genuinely lovely person with this warm family and everyone just loves her, and she was so kind, and you just keep thinking, oh, maybe there'll be a different ending. Maybe somehow she doesn't go there. She doesn't talk to, you know, this, because especially with those scenes with that, you know, her always, oh, I can handle the inventory. I can do that. No, you can't. Stay away, you know, and that trusting nature of hers, the loveliness of her. And gosh, I'll be honest and say, packed a lot more into 23 years than I did, probably. So, I mean, like, that's a lot.
An incredible life in 23 years. My God.
Yeah. And then it just, after it, just the ate at me, just thinking about that loss to her family, to her community is like not recoverable.
No.
I mean, that's just.
Yeah, I was like crying at many points in this film, which I knew that I'm sure I knew it would happen, but I hadn't really thought about it. And I certainly hadn't thought so much about like the music. And anyway, AG, like what were your impressions of it?
I found it really, like, I hadn't made the connection. Like, I'd heard those songs so many times before, like her pop songs in English, but I never really connected it to her and her story, and I never saw the movie when it came out. I didn't listen to her music really, and so this is kind of a whole new story for me when I watched it a couple days ago. And yeah, it's you know, really tragic and sad, and just reading about the things, you know, Jennifer Lopez has said about Selena as a fellow entertainer, and how she's kind of this like singular figure, is like a, you know, as an entertainer, especially in the Latino community. Yeah, I really had no idea like how much of an impact that she made, or, you know, like how important she was. And so, yeah, I feel like I've learned a lot about.
And Jennifer Lopez was so good in it.
Oh my God, Jennifer Lopez is amazing in this movie.
I mean, I don't think she makes a misstep quite often, even if she's about to marry that guy, but whatever.
But like, even
he seems like, nice.
Even like the dorkiest moments, like where you
are you talking about in real life or in one of her movies?
I was talking about real life.
She's made some real bad choices marriage wise, I suppose. But that's
I think this marriage 4 or 5. I mean, not to judge.
Who knows?
Just
whatever.
Saying. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I do remember very clearly that like this was a breakout role for her. Like nobody had really ever heard of J-Lo before she was in Selena. And
well, there were some of us who watched In Living Color, so I take that back. There.
I mean, I had watched that too, yeah.
Yeah.
You knew the names of all the dancers at the time?
Not all
the
dancers,
that not normal?
But Jennifer Lopez for sure. I didn't, yeah.
And then she won the part after 22,000 women auditioned for the role.
Yeah, 22,000.
It was the second largest casting call since the search for Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind in 1939.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And it just makes you think like she probably would have still become a huge star because you guys had obviously heard of her as a fly girl before.
We would have propelled her for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But just like how her whole career, like she just like actually started from being a total unknown and like won this huge role and just built on it and built on it and built on it. And is now like one of the most famous, you know, stars in Hollywood.
But she's still Jenny from the block. So let's not forget that, okay?
But I just continue to be blown away by like how much stuff she puts out and how hard she works, and just like
I know
on
and
every front.
Yeah, and I feel like she seems fun. Not that should matter. She gets to have her own life and be, whoever she wants to be. But don't you feel like it would be fun? I don't think she would probably eat that pizza though. I feel like she's very disciplined.
That was the part that stuck out to me the most, for sure.
But it feels like she's at a point in her career where like she doesn't need to perform on.
She just did the American Music Awards the other night though.
I know, that's my whole point. Like, she doesn't need to do that because she's done everything and she's like famous enough, and she isn't, it just feels like she still is out there hustling and doing things, and like as a huge star doesn't necessarily have to take on new things and try to push herself all the time still.
You wouldn't be going to see Made in Manhattan 3? I'd be there. I don't even know if there's a 2 actually, but
I've never seen, I did maybe see Made in Manhattan a long time ago. I'm not sure, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like she, but I think she's like, I think in part because she is always sort of like, and she's talked about this, like the racism that she has encountered, and like how she always has to prove herself, and the sexism that she's encountered, and all of these different sort of like things. I feel like she's just always sort of like, because of her positioning in the world, no matter how successful she is. And this is like the really crappy part about like, sort of how white supremacy and like the patriarchy have sort of like ruined all of these, both established and built and ruined all of these different like models of art and the industry. Like, she's always going to feel like she needs to prove herself and push herself and like do shows like the American Music Awards this week.
It sure was.
Yeah. Like, I want so much. I just want a different world for like so many people who have sort of grown up in this situation where they are the constant sort of like twofold of racism and sexism is sort of, made them feel like, and proven that they have to always work so hard.
Well, that's interesting because that's a big part of the Selena story as well, right? That we kept hearing she's just a girl, and then that really interesting conversation that they have with the father about when you're a Mexican American, you can't be Mexican enough, you can't be American enough. You're always straddling these two worlds, and you're never ever going to get it fully right for either side. And then he has that great line where he says, if you're like from England or from France, your homeland is way, way far away. Mine, right there.
Yeah.
I found it fascinating that didn't speak Spanish when she first started
I thought that
singing
too.
in Spanish. I didn't know that. And the idea of that is so fascinating, because I know that with Edison Chen, who's like a hip hop artist and a cantopop artist, he was born and raised in Vancouver and then moved to Hong Kong and started singing in Cantonese and Mandarin. And it was his accent that people found like quirky and cool, because it was like a very like a Canadian Cantonese accent. And it was kind of like a novelty to hear someone sing like that. And that was kind of like part of why he became a huge star. And so like, I wonder if that was the same with Selena, because like in the movie, her dad talks about how her Spanish is not that great. And
but then she has a little Spanglish at that press conference and everyone goes crazy.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's the Spanglish that people find
endearing.
Cool.
And
well, and I think she also like she positioned it right away, and like, and I think this is what she knows about people, is that like, and she's been able to do since she was so young, is like connect with people. So she she did such great work and such great crowd work. Like, not only obviously does like her like quiet quell a riot, but like in this press conference, she goes and shakes everyone's hands, makes eye contact, and like does the cheek kissing, to sort of like get everyone endeared to her like right away. And I thought that was like, that like she's, and you see this movie does a great job of showing how Selena's operating on all levels all the time. Like, she's thinking about the art, she's thinking about the music, she's thinking about the business, she's thinking about the historical, legacy of this music. She's thinking about how she is creating this whole new world for all of these like little girls who are looking at her on stage and seeing her take up this space in Tejano music that is really, it really has been so often like this very male dominated music industry. And like, I just, you see like the movie does a very good job. Like it's not the most well-written movie, but it does a beautiful job of showing us on like all of the different facets of Selena and how it really was like a family operation that she was at the center of.
It felt like a family movie as well.
Yeah.
It felt very clean.
I think her family was really involved in the making of the movie.
Oh, her family was huge.
It had a really, like, it almost felt Disney-esque to me, which isn't bad. It was very sweet.
Well, so apparently what happened, like Carlos was looking at it last night, and I know you make mention of this too in the outline, AG, but like, I guess after her murder, within it like a month, her dad was already talking to movie studios to do this movie, and that's why the movie came out 2 years after her murder. Like that's a really fast turnaround for Hollywood, but it's because apparently within like a few weeks there were already 6 to 7 unauthorized biographies coming out about her, and a bunch of other studios trying to plan their own movies. So her dad, like, you know, what he did was like always take care of her image, right? And so I think there is like a conversation to be had about like his like sort of overbearingness like sometimes, but I think the movie does a really great job of like showing someone who is a complicated figure, who had his own dreams for things that didn't work out, who saw his daughter as a like means of sort of like manifesting those dreams, but also knew that she was a star in her own right, and he wasn't trying to like make her anything but a really great version of herself, you know? And I think that they do like a fairly good job of sort of showing his negative side, for as much as he was like super involved in the film, like showing him blowing up at people, showing the sort of like that sort of like macho temper thing that he has going on in different situations, but also showing how they were able to sort of move past that with like love and integrity as a family. And I thought that was a really nice depiction.
Just quickly, I just want to say there was a very odd development, though, on Selena's mom's hair, which goes from...
Okay, yes.
Can we address this?
Yeah, let's talk about this, because I also was like, you know what? She has this great regular hair, and then within the space of a couple years, she has this, what can only be described as like a helmet.
A middle-aged suburban mother look, or something. It was very odd. And why was it blonde all of a sudden?
Well, I had it auburn in my TV. Like the coloring was auburn in my TV, but it looked to me like
it's like they aged her like there was only like 10 years between.
Yeah.
The scene where they're doing their little dance out on the...
I know, which is such a great scene.
Which is such a great scene. And Mama's like, wow, Mom's hot.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden, Mom just quickly starts wearing shapeless clothes. And that, like, what?
Yeah.
It was a jump.
It was a huge jump and somewhat unnecessary.
Yeah, because Edward Jason looks no different from the beginning of that movie to the end of that movie.
Yeah, he's got the same glasses.
But I mean, it must have been pretty accurate to real life if the woman herself was involved in.
I guess it just was a very like something. I guess I wanted to know what happened in the middle there.
We can just send her an email and just be like, look, we're real fans of the movie, just fans of your. Did you feel the hair represented you in as full a way? But I mean, I will say that it wasn't hair that surprised me that much in terms of what a lot of suburban upper class women were doing to themselves in the early to mid 90s.
Sure. But if we're going to bother to have a makeover scene, which we kind of slightly did.
We get a few, yeah.
With Chris.
Well, Chris, they'd cut off a bunch of hair, but then just put it in a ponytail.
I know.
Who needed all that? Yeah,
That was a weird one.
That was a really weird one.
And that's a really strange way to be introduced to your new band. Like,
yeah, we're gonna
throw you into a random bathroom and pull your hair out.
Yeah.
And
if these things happened, if they happened,
but not even just undo the buttons on the bracelet, bolt cutters.
Yeah,
bolt cutters. Like, why? Anyway, okay, sorry, AG.
And again, besmirch the metal community. But anyway,
yeah, that was yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like those like kind of Claire's accessories needed the bolt cutters to come off. Felt a bit like overkill.
Did they have them soldered on? You're part of our gang now.
Yeah. Well, but anyway, I was gonna just talk about something like more serious.
Sure, yeah.
So it's gonna seem like a veer out of hair, but I mean, the way like I was reading how the family was like just deeply involved in the movie, and that might have impacted the way that her murder is portrayed in the movie, because like clearly there's going to be a lot of sensitivity around that. And as a person who watched the movie and didn't really know much about the story, it felt like that part of it was crammed in at the end and went really fast. And I didn't understand.
And it was a bit surreal too.
Yeah, I had to go back and sort of on the internet and read about the story to understand why it happened, or I mean, not like why it happened, but like what they think led up to it, and like the possible motivations for this woman, and this like the exact circumstances and what happened, because like that isn't filled in the movie at all.
No.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it is because they made it so quickly after her murder, and like the family was so heavily involved. I think you're totally right. Like they sort of they really they don't address it in a linear or like with any kind of clarity. They do make it a little bit surreal, and so that is, and I mean, I think that there's like something kind of, there's something unusual there, because then like we all have to finish the movie and go and read about what happened. That's a weird like exit strategy.
But to the film, I mean, as you said, it was 2 years after.
Yeah.
Likely the only people wanting to see this movie would have already been fans of hers and knew that story. So I feel like in like 2 years after that, it probably resonated a bit better.
Well, that's
to
the thing,
say,
like,
let's not dwell on this. Let's celebrate her life. And yes, we know this is what happened. So yeah, but definitely now when you watch it, it does feel like, did she die? How did she die?
And I mean, one of the things though that I think that they do really well is they keep the focus off of Yolanda. Like this is not a movie about why this woman did what she did. And so you have to go read about it after. This is a movie that's like entirely about the celebration of Selena's life. It has almost nothing to do with her death. And I think that I think it's like, yes, it's of the time, and I think it is an unusual storytelling choice, but I think it has like its own sort of beauty, you know, like that.
No, I think it's, I feel like it was a good way to do it. Again, I don't think you would, if you made it now, like this miniseries is probably going to be very different.
Yeah. How do you think the miniseries is going to change the way they tell the story? Like, why is this being remade?
Is the family involved in this?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I'm not saying that we needed, like, super sex scenes between her and Chris, but it was a pretty chaste relationship in this movie, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like...
Well, that's one of the things I read, too, is that Abraham wanted to edit out the part where they elope, because he didn't want Selena's fans to think it was okay to elope. Yeah, they had to fight him to keep that in the movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I get why they're doing something now, because one, it has been 25 years. That's a significant milestone. There are like, you know, basically 2 new generations of like young Selena fans that have come up with her music where they've never existed in a world where she's been alive, you know? Like, I think that makes a lot of sense to me. And this new series, like, hopefully will be a way to give a bit more space to the story of her life. I'm a little nervous after watching the trailer for it, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have hope, but I'm a little nervous about how the series is going to go. Because I just want them to do it justice. Like, I really like do love her, and I do think like she was such a critically important voice, and like and she made so much music in her young life, you know? Like, I mean, this is an artist who is on par with Buddy Holly in terms of like significance, you know, musically and culturally. And even more so because she's, you know, bringing together like this like Mexican American culture, this Tejana, like, and just like, you know, just having her be such a significant presence to so many young women who, you know, have not had the same number of like, I mean, Buddy Holly, I say is like a touchstone, but like there are tons of white male rock stars that lots of people have to look up to. There are not nearly as many like significant Mexican American women pop stars to look up to, you know? So
that was the part that kind of made my heart swell when he said she could be the next Gloria Estefan.
I know.
And now there's only one Gloria Estefan.
Well, and like the other thing, like when we're at the first time where we sort of see a big crowd.
At the very beginning of the movie, you mean, or?
No, sorry. Like in more linearly,
okay.
Where she's playing like a fairground, and it's I think the first time we see J-Lo.
And she takes her top. Yeah.
But you see all these like young girls at the front of this, like these little girls at the front of the stage, and then they go up and they dance with her, and these little boys go up and dance with her, and I just like, I think that was the first part where I cried, because I was just like, oh my God, like you can feel like this is like this first moment where like if you can see it, you can be it happening for like these kids, you know, and I just think like that's so lovely. And I mean, the other thing that I kept thinking is like her voice really is so incredible. Like,
yeah, they used all of her music through the film. Like J-Lo never sings.
Yeah. And her voice is extraordinary. And the little girl that they hire to play her as a kid, her voice is extraordinary, you know?
It's funny. I noticed too that like when you see that opening montage she does at that kind of stadium, and it's like a Donna Summer medley. And I love all of those songs so much, like On the Radio and Last Dance. I mean, oh God, what good. Anyway, it was interesting because then we see her as a little girl saying, I love Donna Summer. Yeah. And so it kind of rounds her out a bit more about who she was as a musical performer, that who she wanted to be was Donna Summer. Yeah. You know, and I love that.
That checks out so hard for like all the outfits and
doesn't it?
Oh my God. And then you see her like wearing all these outfits in the film, and then you see the montage at the end of Selena in all of those exact outfits. Like, this is a faithful as hell film.
Well, they said she wanted to be a designer too, right? Yeah.
But I didn't know like how faithful all the costume designs were. Yeah. Until we saw Selena in literally all of those costumes at the end, and I was just like, oh, that's so good. Like,
to me, it's like Selena and all of the like, and Jennifer Lopez is one of them, all those women that really love performing and give it to the audience. You know, they love it. They costume change, the makeup, the fact that they probably won't eat for months before. Like, these are women who just want so badly to give this amazing performance. And I love those people so much. And it just makes you think of what she could have been doing. Even seeing those pictures of Madonna working with Diablo Cody, she's still dressed up just to do a read through of her diaries. Like, this is it for the rest of your life. If you start this way, you will be doing costume changes in your living room until you die. That's what you have to look forward to.
I feel like Celine Dion definitely lives like that.
Oh, definitely.
100%. 100%. And yeah.
I'm sure when she gets up in the morning, there's a robe selection moment. There's the slippers. It's a whole scene. Yeah. And I just think that, we have the word diva, but sometimes I feel like that word is maligned and I don't really like it. But obviously we know Mariah Carey lives this way too, because, well, we've seen her do it.
Yeah. I've thought about this a lot. And I think I wrote about it at one point, about just like how there's no male equivalent of diva in the language, and how like wildly gendered, and like that it's supposed to be a bad word, and that's why so many women have like had to embrace their diva-dom, because like that's the only way to get the job done half the time. And and I just like,
but those concerts, those big diva concerts they used to do, right?
Oh, yeah. So, there's like, that started in 1998.
Bring those back.
Bring them back. Oh my God. I would love that. Like, what a fun, I think actually the last time they might have done one was like in the aughts. So it did stretch for a while, but like we haven't had one in a little bit. I do think it's worth focusing so much on like just Selena and the sort of joy of her life and this film, but I couldn't, like you said, AG, like, because they don't really tell you what actually happened, like you have to go and read it after, and so I did. And it's really terrible. Obviously it's really terrible, but
do you want to give the rundown, the quick rundown of it?
Yeah, sure. Well, hold on to your hats, folks. So Yolanda had a history of sort of some bad stealing behaviors, basically, like at other places she had worked, and Selena.
Well, no, she was the president of their fan club, but then she came to work for their company, right?
Yeah, so she was the president of Selena's fan club, but she also was working at the store and she was going to be a person who Selena thought was going to be integral into the expansion into Mexico of her like design store and like her clothing designs and whatnot. And so then like the whole family started getting like reports that like fan club members had paid money and gotten nothing in return, and that like the accounting practices were bad, et cetera, et cetera. So I believe it was AB and Selena and Selena's sister who like confronted Yolanda about this. Yolanda was supposed to bring a bunch of papers, and she kept sort of dodging it, and Selena finally agreed to meet up with her. And she met her at a hotel, and they had like a confrontation, like a confrontation. Selena went to leave, and she had been she was like threatening to basically like the conversation had not gone the way Yolanda wanted. Selena turns to leave. Yolanda shoots her. And Selena makes it all the way down to the lobby, trailing blood behind her. Yolanda chases her with the gun. And they managed to... they called an ambulance for Selena. Yolanda did not shoot her again. She went and like locked herself in her truck and did a... like the police barricaded her in her truck. And she sat in her truck for like 9 hours. As part of a standoff, and Selena was pronounced dead. Like basically she was pronounced dead at the hospital. They tried for 20 minutes to revive her. It did not work. And she died because the gunshot, even though it like kind of was a random shot, it went through her back shoulder and then through her chest, and it hit one of her arteries. So it was really kind of random. Anyway, Yolanda ended up getting sentenced to 30 years in prison. And her appeals have been denied. 30 years in prison was the longest that they could do in Texas at the time. And so she actually comes up for release in 2025 on March 30th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and she has been trying to say that, like, she's been trying to, like, get her conviction overturned. To my knowledge, has not taken any accountability or responsibility for it. And I can only imagine that, like, 2025 is, like, just too close. Like,
yeah.
I it's not good. Not good. But yeah. So yeah, I did not know all the stuff that went into it, and I didn't.
Me neither. Yeah.
Like, it was awful.
I didn't remember about the standoff, but I did remember about who she was and the shooting and as you said, the randomness of how the shot went in her, and just, yeah, that she was there. I think she was there trying to help her too, right? That was the other part.
Well, Selena wanted to still be friends. She wanted to, like, try and, like, work it out. Like, she went there alone. She didn't feel that she was in any physical danger. And, like, it's so tragic and so awful. And this woman, you know, obviously was deeply unwell. And,
yeah, I wonder if the new Netflix show will delve more into this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I would expect that, because so Netflix, I think, just because it's so interested in true crime, and this is, like, a true crime story in addition to being this story of Selena, like, I would expect them to want to, like, sort of have that be a component of it, but I don't know. If the family doesn't want it to be, and if they're, you know, sort of executive producers and in charge of stuff, then maybe it wouldn't be. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, I don't know. When she's singing, you know, the Judy Garland classic Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I was just, like, thinking about, like she would have been a movie star as well as, like, a singer and, like, a designer and this, like, huge influential person, like, and she is already all of those things on so many levels, you know, so that's good.
She would have been, what you're saying is the next Gloria Estefan.
Well, I feel like she could have, like, could have sort of, like, been so many next things, you know, like, like, there's no, like, she easily could have been the next J-Lo or the next Madonna or the next Lady Gaga, or, like, you know, like, there wasn't really, like, a end to her artistry. And, like, and I think, and particularly when you have a situation where your family is incredibly supportive and not just holding you back, like so many like women don't have situations, you know, where like especially so many, like, sort of, like, aspiring, we hear so many sort of toxic stories about aspiring female singers and these icons whose, like, family stories are just messes. And, like, this is a family that really seemed to love each other and work together. And, like, you know, I also loved how her sister was like, have you ever seen a female drummer? You've never seen that, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, grows up to be this, like, pretty good drummer behind her the whole time. And, like, I don't know.
It's so endearing, too, when they show the family restaurant where they're performing.
I know.
Their parents are, like, cooking and serving.
It's so, that's what makes it very hard to watch. I just feel sad. It's like I couldn't even enjoy, like, every time the family was doing something really lovely, I kept saying, you guys should pull away right now. Because I just kept thinking, I know things you don't.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And so I'm trying to think of other, like, I'm not actually that big of a fan of the biopic, I'll be honest. I don't know, you know, they're just,
are you watching The Crown?
Yes.
Do you feel that way when you look at Diana?
Yeah, I do. I feel like it's, I don't know. And I don't understand why everybody gets so, like, like how they got the costumes right. It's not even hard. You got a picture. You just replicate it. Like, I don't get I'm much more interested in things that come out of thin air, you know, like like somebody creating something that didn't exist before, that just rather than imitation. I guess in that light though, like watching The Crown, at least there's an opportunity to kind of slow down a moment, like a whole 1 hour on just like, I think one of the episodes with Charles having to go to Wales and his kind of coming into his own. I like that better than I like this 2 hour, an entire Wikipedia entry on someone's life.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to sort of make that successful and feel fulsome and still like a good movie experience.
I feel like there's moments that I would rather explore, like, maybe a year in someone's life, or, make that trip they took to be representational of something. So I just find sometimes I watch these biopics and it was almost as if we're just going to whip through this. You're going to feel really bad and then it's going to end.
Well, yeah, there's something about, someone who's considered young and beautiful and talented dying at a young age, and people kind of left behind wondering what could have been. And it's like James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, Elvis. Mm-hmm. Well, Elvis had a pretty long career, but like Diana, like they live on in the people's imagination. And then every so often a biopic comes along that you watch, and then you just feel terrible about the tragedy all over again.
I know, exactly. I know. I
think this movie, like, even though it's hard, like, I thought that this movie did a fairly good job of like celebrating her life so well, and it doesn't dwell on the like, you are left to sort of hold the tragedy on your own after the film ends. Yeah. And that I think is a little bit difficult, but like, you can see that like she had, like, it was tragically cut short and it should not have been, but like a pretty incredible 23 years, she changed culture. Mm-hmm. Like, that's significant. And I think like one of the things I think the movie does really well, even though, again, I know I've said this before, I don't think it's like the best written movie overall, but what it does do really well is it really explains to us like these key moments and these key things that are very particularly important to Selena, her family, and their identity. So like, Lisa, like you said, like the father sort of talking about the sort of duality of his identity and the struggle of being like not Mexican enough and not American enough. And, he talks about how she's like disrupting Tejano music, and how like, girls, like a girl has never really done this before. And like we get to spend time in these moments where they are very much like, from their perspective, sort of like, they're like, you know what, we need to sort of like make sure that we pay tribute to like how significant this was. And I think if the family hadn't had such a strong hand in how the production, like how the film was shot, that might have been glossed over in like a more traditional Hollywood film, Yeah. They wouldn't have known that we need to spend time with that.
Yeah. I agree with that. Everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I still felt really sad though.
Oh no, for sure. Me too.
I just wanted her to do one mean thing, one selfish thing. I mean, you could maybe argue her elopement was, but even that was beautiful. Just so I could feel a bit of an edge toward her, but there was nothing.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that there's some sort of, you know what I was going to say was going to be terrible, and I'm never going to say it. So we'll save it for off mic after we're done recording.
We'll take it.
Take it off mic, off recording.
Off mic.
I've never held back, but like, I guess therapy's working out for me. Anyway, not like held back from you, but held my tongue in terms of like something I was going to say.
Look at you, thinking before you speak. What? That's not going to help this podcast.
How? Yeah, well,
exactly.
And I also drank a whole half bottle of wine, so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know where. Okay,
Who
fine.
are you?
Do you want me to just say the terrible thing?
No, I don't.
Just say it. No, just say it.
Oh, okay. You can edit it out.
You can edit it out.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, if you want to hear something terrible about her, I'm sure Yolanda's going to be able to write a book when she gets out of prison.
Oh.
Or, I'm sure she's going to be doing interviews.
Yeah. She'll have
sit downs.
She'll be spilling
Morgan
tea
or something.
She'll be spilling tea on Selena. So
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well,
I know.
okay.
But yeah, feel free to edit that out or leave it in. Whatever. Who am I to say?
You said much more shocking things.
No kidding.
I know. Oh, definitely shocking. I was just like not wanting to like just, celebrate this woman getting out of prison in any way because I didn't want to that's not what I want to do. Although I also don't believe in incarceration. What are you going to do? Who knows? Anyway. Okay. So
there's a lot of thoughts in there. Yeah.
Does Selena pop?
To me it does, but like I said, it's very much to me very like a PG family version of a story. It was sweet and lovely and a beautiful portrayal of this wonderful woman. But it also just kind of, it's very quick through things. Anyway,
I would agree with that. I think, watch it because it's J-Lo's breakout role. And
yes.
It's amazing to sort of watch her become a star in this movie. And, to find out about Selena and her music more and understand, her story. But it is a bit of its time and a bit corny in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a bit dated, I would say. So I guess that's maybe proof that maybe the story does need a remaking for 2020, but yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think it pops on a lot of levels. I agree with both of you and what you're saying. It's of its time. There's some camera effects that are deeply unnecessary that you would get at if you're going to record videos at a karaoke lounge. There's just there's a few things that don't really stand out very well or hold up very well. But I think again, J-Lo is flawless. And I really, really loved this depiction of Selena and her family. And I felt like I understood what it is to sort of celebrate her life. And I think that it did a good job in that.
Oh, and I forgot I was going to add, J-Lo was the first Latina actress to make $1 million for a movie role.
Oh,
in this movie.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
So many firsts.
So many.
Well, we love to also leave our episodes on something we recommend. Lisa, do you want to go first?
I am really enjoying this season of The Mandalorian. I have to say, it has been quite fun. Obviously, we've discussed my love of Star Wars already, but I think it's just been quite a bit of fun to dip into this weekly Western saga. And it's hard to beat how cute Baby Yoda is. It just really is. And it's so ridiculous that this very harsh story keeps turning to this little baby with his little funny baby sounds and his little ears moving. And it's the weirdest kind of mix of things on one show, I have to say. So if you haven't... Mandalorian, it's been quite a delight.
That's awesome.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, that makes sense. AG, what about you?
I'm going to recommend an article I wrote written by Emil Niazi in The Cut about why she's embraced wearing nightgowns during the pandemic.
Yes.
A good flannel nightgown. It's very funny. It's so well written, and it'll make you want to order an LL Bean flannel nightgown. Basically, she says her argument is that with a nightgown, you can truly embrace the paranoia and claustrophobia of this moment. Because it's
and just feel like you're the character in a Victorian novel or something. Yeah.
Because leisure wear is too formal. You need separate bedclothes. And my mom always wears nightgowns.
I find they twist though. When you try and sleep in them, don't you find they're uncomfortable and they get twisted up and unless you don't move? That's my only...
I guess it depends on how restless a sleeper you are too.
Yeah, so I can understand wearing it around the house, but the sleeping part is the... I'm a more of as I've discussed here, the Hugh Hefner being my style icon. that my brother and I were obsessed with the fact that he wore pajamas all the time. Like that was.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I have always loved men's pajamas. I wear them, with the piping. I haven't got a silk pair, but I like a really good, like a paisley or some very striped. I like to go to Uniqlo and get a good flannel men's pajama set. That's my thing.
I'm gonna recommend. That sounds great, by the way, AG, and I love I love hearing more about your PJ consumption, Lisa.
I'm sure it'll make it in the blurb.
I am going to recommend, and this is a band that I may have recommended before a long time ago, but because they do like bring Tejano music into sort of a contemporary setting. I just want to give everyone should check out Los Tex-Maniacs. They're a conjunto band created by Max Baca in 1997. They won a Grammy in 2010 for Tejano Album of the Year called Borders y Bailes. And they are incredible. They banjo, accordion, electric bass, and drums, and they are so fun. I saw them at the Folk Alliance International Conference in 2019, and I saw them play in this tiny room that's never going to happen again, with like 50 of us crammed in there, everyone breathing on each other, and they were incredible. I tried to see them I think at least one or two more times before the weekend was over. But so they're Los Tex-Maniacs. They're just such a fun band, and I highly recommend them. Go listen to anything you can, and a little taste of Tejano music. It's wonderful.
And some pandemic dancing around the house is highly recommended, especially in a flannel nightgown.
Honestly, this is great music to dance to in a flannel nightgown. I highly encourage it.
Yeah. The neighbors may talk, but so what?
So what?
Yeah.
So what? Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate it. You can hang out with us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. You could rate and review us 5 stars on iTunes.
5 stars always. Thanks to Andrea Gin, our producer and co-host during our days of homestay. I don't know what this is anymore. It's not a homestay. It's the lockdown that never ends. I don't know what to call this anymore.
Just the long winter.
The long winter of our discontent made more glorious. Shakespeare can't sue you or anything for me saying that, can he?
Nope.
No.
Okay, good.
I don't think
No, he's good now.
All right, good. On that note, thank you all so much. I can't do the whole monologue anyway, but I know those lines.
Everyone brush up on your Shakespeare monologues. A long 2021 ahead.
You've got time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.